doing what we want. So I'm actually going to scale this up, rotate it around, and I'm going to scale again. Scale a bit more. Okay, he's pretty good. Unbelievable. So it gives you a good starting block anyway to get them the same length, but you can manually do it like I've kind of done here. I'll take him and I'll just move him so he's in line. And now I'm going to check this one out. Modify, center the pivot, bring him up to the top, and scale this up. A bit more. Yeah, he'll do. Okay, and finally I'm just going to grab the vertex here and reduce them down so they're just not quite as high. So hopefully you got the idea about that scaling and keeping things logically scaled like that, and that will work for you. Right, bring him back down into here. Come back out, select the proper one, which is you. And vertex, drag across, scale this down, that's good enough. Alright, so that's our gears done. So I'll just select across all these gears now. And I'll put them in this white colour. Actually, the Lambert's probably going to be better because I can see, and I'll put wireframe on shaded so I can see what's going on. This one, the vertexes have gone a little bit crazy. I'll just select across these and scale them back out like that. I think my sizing's gone out a bit as well. So I can drag across these, push all these back in, and move this back in as well. Select the object and just move it forwards. Same goes for this one. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our gears, which will fit on the bike. We now need to make our little links for these chains. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to put this on a new layer so that I can turn it off and label it gears. and I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to come into my Polygon pipes again, drop this down to 8, I think, rotate this, whoops, 90 degrees this way, 0 this way, good. I think that's right. Oh, actually no, it's not. Okay, that's right. Okay, and my pipe shape, I'm going to bring this up. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to create a link for this, so I need to make sure that I've got this set up correctly. So I'm going to come across here and I'm going to zoom right in and then just see how it's going to work. Right, so this is going to go round, then it's going to come across, it's going to come up, down and then back around, so I can do a duplicate of that. But I think that's going to be the better shape, so I go to 12. Right now I'm at 12, but I'm going to delete the faces on this because I'm going to be creating. So now in the front view we're going to scale this down and we're going to make it kind of fit with our cogs. So basically our cog will go down there like this, and this will go over the top and come back down, so that's perfect. So I'm going to duplicate that, bring him across to this one. Now I think that's right, it's just this isn't dead straight. So now what I need to do is to duplicate again, and I'm going to bring this one down to there. I'm going to duplicate again and bring this one down to there. Then I'm going to select the faces and I'm going to kill off this lot of faces. I'm going to do the same with this. And now I'm going to take these objects, not you, and I'm going to combine them, and now I'm going to vertice snap using VT there, V key there, V key there, V key there, and merge these vertices. So at the moment what we've got, if we look in perspective, is just a face with sort of the middle cut out, so I need to just append this middle section. So we'll do that now. Go to the object mode, go to mesh and append, and we will start appending this. Hit the G key. It might be better to do it in perspective mode actually. 1, 2, press the G. Oh, it's being a little bit of a pain. Press the G, it's not working. Okay, try this. G, ooh. Okay, let's go the other way about it. we'll take these faces, all these faces, and we'll extrude them. Maybe it needs a bit of geometry to work with. Who knows? And now I'm going to delete these faces out because I don't need them. However, I'm going to leave these faces in here, and you'll see why, because I'm going to take these and I'm going to delete these out because I don't need these. Now let's see if look, I've taken an extra face off there. Let's just append that back in, and let's just go and take the face out of here. Okay, now let's try it, because there's a bit of geometry. Maybe it's gonna, the tool's gonna work. Just gotta undo that. Need to follow the arrows around. Aye. Okay, let's start again. It's playing up, I don't know why. Take the faces, delete them. Good. Start from scratch. I'm going to take this, take the mesh and separate them. Take this one and go to move tool, center him, duplicate him, duplicate him again, bring him down here, group them. This is just another way I'm going to show you how to do it. Go into the faces, delete the faces out, same as we did before. Except now I'm going to bring all the points in. So I'm going to vertice, going to go to move tool, the V, I'm going to snap the V's, same as we did before. Snap these into position. Yep, and this time I'm going to snap this to this. Then I'm going to take both of these, I'm going to move them to roughly the middle. I'm going to grab this one, I'm going to snap it to that, and I'm going to snap it to that. I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to bring it down. Whoops, this and this, and bring them down. Hold on. Like that. I'm going to take these and bring them up like this. Now I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to merge. And now I'm hoping I can use my interactive split tool to split through these, just to tidy up the geometry. Ay, ay, ay. And there. I drag across the vertices and I delete just to get rid of these. And finally I put this in here and I push it together like this, and I'll make sure it's in the middle. And what I'm going to do is just push this like this and maybe push it out a little bit, and so that gives me that link, the outside link. Can select the face now, and we should be plain sailing. I should be able to just extrude this out. And mine's crashed again, so I'll just carry on. I'll get it to this stage and then you'll see we'll create the middle bit and we'll kind of link it all up. Right, okay, so we've got our piece here now, and what I want to do is just to make the links for it. So I'm going to select the face, I'm going to zoom right in, and I'm just going to extrude. And we'll have a look at this when I put it into 3 mode. So we need to do a couple of things here. That is harden these edges up. So I'm going to insert some offsets. And have a look at that. Just going to turn the wireframe off. So that's quite nice. So let me just quickly save that before it crashes. And now we can start to put these on top where they should be. So I'm going to center my pivot point again. I'm going to come down here and we shall put one there. I'm going to duplicate now and move one this side. Now I just need to create the little barrels that go through and do the inside linking, or sort of the outside linking, and then we should be done. So what I'll do first of all is I'll duplicate this and I'll bring it out, and I'll come into this view, and I just want to make sure that it's right over there, which it is. I'm going to zoom back in now, and I want to move this outside, and I want to move this one outside. Now I'm going to create the little barrels, so I'll save this again, and we just got a tube for this, so reduce that tube down and put it into its position. Around about here. I need to rotate it about 90 degrees here, and move it, and I'm going to zoom in and reduce this right down and move it up. And so I'm moving in now here, and we'll reduce. I'm just going to extend it a little bit bigger because I need to put the edge loops in. Okay, now I can move it in again. That. Okay, I'm just going to check it now in here. That looks good. And now I'm going to move it on to here. So W, Control D, and we'll put that in position there. Let's have a look. Good. And now what I will do is I will combine these, and now you'll see that if I press center the pivot first, but if I press Control D and then I move this along here like this, then we've got a chain forming, and we can repeat that process for the whole chain. So that's what we're going to do next, is move the chain around. But the next thing we need to do is to create the cogs for the actual pedals. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these 3 of these cogs and move them to where the chain is, to move them to where the pedal is. So I'll just be duplicating those across. Okay, don't panic. You can see that we've moved on a bit. You haven't missed a video or anything. We're carrying on. I've just put the chain all in place. It's pretty simple to do this, and we just repeat these bits. So I'll just show you some of the steps. Now I've put some of this stuff in here. Let me just show you what I've done. It's all stuff that we covered before, so shouldn't be a problem for you. So let me just show you what I did. I got rid of the wheels and I got rid of the frame, and I just worked in the front view as I've got it here. And all I did was, let me just started the Shimano parts, but I'm not actually happy with these. They don't work. They don't work like they should. So I'm going to repeat that whole process again, which will be better for you guys. And if you can see my gears, all I've done is I've cut out the middle sections and I've just appended the polygon back up again. And then I've grabbed these 3 gears here, this one, this one, this one, and I've just translated them across into the position where the pedal is there. And you can see I've moved it out. Now you can see automatically that my chain, all I did in the side view was I grabbed the original chain link that I had and I just translated it across, moved it across. I duplicated and moved it across. Let me just turn that off, you can see. So when I have my original chain link, which we created in the last one, in the last video, all I did was take these away, started with the top one, right? So let's just pretend we've got rid of those. So that was our link that we had, our chain link, which is in position. So I went to the top view here and I positioned it top view like this, and then I positioned it front view like this, and I moved my pivot point here. I actually went round this way anti-clockwise. So what I did was I locked my pivot point into the middle. So remember, press inset so I can move the pivot point over there, then press the V key and lock it into the middle there, then press the inset key or the insert key again, and that allows us, the reason I did it there was it allows me to rotate the chain. And obviously I've got it on shading, wireframe on shaded, and I've got X-ray turned on so I can see the cogs underneath. And then all I did was I pressed the W key to go into this move mode, and I pressed Control D to duplicate, and then I just moved it like this into position like that. Then I pressed the E key and I rotated it, and then I did exactly the same right the way around until it was around to here at this point. Yep. And then at this point I grabbed the smallest cogs, which I thought I would use for the Shimano gear bits. I used my reference to a certain degree and I put the cogs into their relative positions. And I just brought them down and lined them up with this big cog here so that they all lined up, as you can see. So basically my chain would run round, so I just moved it. This was the cog that I used and I just moved it. And the reason it looks slightly different is basically because those cogs are normally sort of a bit softer. So I just did instead of that I just pressed the 3 key to soften them. Yeah, and then I just went around and added some extra edge loops to define the shape a little bit better. You know, to use the edge loops we just go down there, insert edge loops, and then you can just roll these into there just to sharpen those corners up. And then I just continued doing what I did, and I ran the chain around to here, and then I ran this chain out actually in a straight line. Let me just show you. Let's go to there so you get the idea. Let's just take that away. And not that one. And leave that out. And so what I did was I ran those out at a straight line. I just had this here. It was straight. It's not straight now, but it was straight. Let's just straighten it up mildly. Okay. Now press the W key. I just need to press the insert and lock this again. Press the insert again. Okay, and now I press Control D to duplicate, and I moved it along like this. Yep, and released. And the speedy shortcut to repeat that same move is to press the Shift key and D, and it will repeat that move. Shift key and D. So what I did was I got to roughly the right position, which was about there. Shift key D. Then I selected all of these chain links and I just grouped them. So I press Control G. Yeah. Then I went to the modify and center pivot point. Then I press the insert key and I move this over this end. Probably tell what I'm going to do now. Press the V key again and moved it and locked it to the middle. Then I press the insert key again, and now that allows me with that group to move that up and into its position, and then I just carried on around here, and I did this grouping method exactly the same for this piece as well. So I ran it out as a straight line and then I locked it into there, and then I rotated it up into position here. And then I just did a minor, it didn't meet up exactly, so what I did was with these cogs I just right hand clicked and vertices, and then I just wangled it a little bit by just moving these so that they kind of met up. You won't notice it on all these chain links. So that's how the chain links were created all across there. But because I ran it out in a straight line, when I moved these cogs into position for the pedals, obviously it runs out of position here. These cogs need to be running onto these gears here. So I'll show you a technique using a lattice deformer to be able to deform the chain in one hit. Saves a lot of time. Lattice deformers also can be used for animating as well, so they're pretty powerful things, and they're under the animation controls as part of the animation sequence. So that's how I did that. So let me just open this one back up again. Don't save this, and we'll be back to where we started. Okay, so what you've seen me do, let me just clear this out, don't need these, going to redo them. So that's how we got to that stage. Obviously I told you about how to do the cutouts there. You know, you just select the faces that you want cut out, delete them out, do it in the front view here, or your side view depending on how you've got it. Select those faces, delete them out, and then just append the polygon using the edit mesh append polygon tool, which we've used before countless times. That's our main tools for this project. So that's it really. And the other thing that I did was I did the pedals. I know I was going to show you how to do it, but it's pretty easy stuff. So let me just show you the pedals. There. Yep, you've got the pedals here on the side. And that's just, I'll put it into one mode so you can see it a bit clearer. All that is box polygon modeling, what we've done before, and then I've selected, I did it so it was quite dense, so that I could select these faces and then extrude them. But because the faces aren't together, what I did was on the extrude I turned off the keep faces together. Just do one here, I'll just show you, demo this. So I select the faces and I selected right through. So when I say right through, I went to the top view like this. If I look at this perspective view, you can see the bottom faces aren't picked out, but if I come into my top view, just click out and then I drag across there, you can see that the bottom faces as well as the top faces are grouped up. So I'll just show you how I did that. So I just pressed the extrude, I went into my features here and I turned off keep faces together, yeah, then I did a little pull up, then I hit one of these so that I can, and you can see the faces pull separately, and I did a little bit and then I extruded again because I wanted to create an edge loop for when I smoothed the pedal out like that. And then finally I did one more at the top just to form that hard edge loop for when I smooth it out. So it was done like that, and so that's how I did those bits. Okay, and then I did this face bit here. I've done an insert and then I pressed the 3 on the keyboard to smooth it. The reason that I did this insert was because that's where I want a reflector to go in these areas. So I'm just going to do a flat polygon, or I might even use the UV texture of the pedal to create the reflector. I'm not sure yet. I might do it as a separate material, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter at this stage. Let me just get that more centered. That's better. Just going to check the other pedal. He's good actually. Yep, he's fine. Does need to be moved a little bit out. Okay. And I think this one could do with being moved a little bit out as well. Okay, so that is all the changes that I did. Pretty easy ones. So now we're on to the gear system. I don't think I added anything else. No, we covered everything else. That's good. Alright, for these Shimano gears, I've done this. I've put the two wheels down there. And what happens with the Shimano gear system is that it will come out from here. It will come out and then it will push back in and locate into those gears there. So again, reference is critical. The gearing system that I'm looking at is something like this. If we look at these, you can see how they all kind of work. Again, reference. There's our side one there. We're following that a little bit, but not rigidly. So I'm looking at something a bit cooler than this, but this is basically it. So it's like a box unit. So like this is a big box unit here, and this is the cog here, which would be this cog, and then this one is this cog. Obviously this is extended, so and it's round the wrong way. It needs to be rotated. So we're going to bring this down here, this box unit, and locate into there. Yeah, ours will pull down quite a bit here, so I need to create some sort of bracket holder. But I think the first thing I'd do is get these kind of working. Right, but before we do that, I just want to show you something. You might be thinking, why am I working it as the model being all in white at the moment? Well, there's a good reason. As you know, we put this into there's the saddle. Yeah, we put this into a white. If I go to Windows and then I go to my rendering and then Hypershade, we put it into this white shader, which was just a blend shader. And the reason we do that is what I've done. Also, what I've done, sorry, is I've set a very simple lighting up. Yes, I've got a simple light setup here, and what I've basically done is I've got a spotlight here, which is my main light, and I've got some directional lights put in here. Now don't worry about this, because we'll be covering lighting and rendering and all that stuff later on. But actually, to put your lights in, you can come over to render, grab a directional and a spotlight there. And once you get those, they'll appear on the screen, and what you can do is you can go to move mode, like for this one. So you can select these like you can objects, and you can do this manipulator tool here, and this tells you where it's pointing. So if I move this around, so you can come into the different views and get it exactly where you want it to be, where the light is. This one's quite low down. It's at a slight angle, so it's going to pick up. The thing about directional lights is it shoots lights out all the way in this direction, and like this one all the way down. This was kind of a fill light just to perk it up a bit, and then I used the spotlight, which gives me nice soft kind of shadows here. And in the settings here, you can see you can set the cone angle, pen hammer angle, and the drop off, and you can visually see what happens here. If I move it here, you can see this. Yeah, so then I basically did a render. Now the reason that like I was getting back to you now, so that's the light setup. I'll return to this in a second with the shadows, but for now I just want to show you that the reason that we just use a white at this stage, at the modelling stage, I'm just using a bog standard blend. You could use a Lambert. I wanted slight bit of reflections on it, hence the reason I use it to blend. So I put it into this material. And if I now do my render, let's just go into the screen. I'll just do a render of this. Actually, I've got my shadows turned on. Hold on, I'll just turn those off. Right, I've done my render. As you can see it here, 13 seconds. Okay, but it's not really that good. I mean, it's okay to see the general geometry, but it'd be good to have some shadows in here. So to turn the shadows on, just go to my spotlight that I've got selected up here. Yeah, come down to, remember I'm using Mental Ray as my renderer, so I'm going to turn on under the shadows down here. Under shadows, we go depth map shadow. We don't want depth map. We use depth map if we're using Maya software renderer, and for speed you might want to use it now, but I use ray trace. I've got a light radius on there. I've got my shadow rays quite low because I don't want to add. The more I push these up, the longer the render time will take, and at this stage there's no point. So I've just put a radius of 0.842. Yours might be different, depends how far away your light is from the object. And so now what I'll do is a render of that. I've got it off screen. Let's just hit the render button here. Right, now as you can see, our render time went from 13 seconds, and with the shadows gone up to 21. So, but look at the shadow detail. So it gives you a lot more information. Let me just save that out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now put this model into a shader, into a Mental Ray shader. So I'm going to grab the model, select it all. Hold on, let's do it again. Let's do all the model. Turn reference off. Okay. So I'm going to bring in my rendering, and I'll go to my hypershade, which will throw up my hypershade window on my other monitor. Let's bring it in here and bring it down a bit, and over here. So in Mental Ray we've got materials here. I'm going to pick the MIA Material X pass. Okay. I'm going to select my model again because it deselects, a bit of a pain. Selected model, and I'm going to right hand click here and apply to selection. I could easily come up here and do the same thing, and with that selected I'm now going to go into my attributes for my Maya Material X Pass 1, and I'm going to click one of the presets, and I'm going to choose copper, replace. Then I'm going to click down here, preset chrome, and I'm going to blend 50% of the chrome in with the copper. And now I'm going to do a render with this in this Mental Ray material. Okay, so now it's rendered out in this Mental Ray material, but that render time took 2 minutes 32 seconds. So a massive difference between the render time of 21 with the shadows and 14 seconds without the shadows. So just wanted to show you how that's why we're not colouring anything up, we're just keeping it as the basic model, so that we can save speed when we're doing test renders throughout the model, and basically keep the file size down and keep the speed up when you're setting the model up. But as you can see, I mean, it's added much more time because it's put all these reflections in, it's worked out a lot of the stuff going on in there. And I don't know if you can see at the back, but with those shadows, they're kind of like, they fade away, and that's to do with, but you can see they're a bit grainy, and that's to do with the amount of light rays. Obviously if I crank my light rays up, that will be smoother, but it'll add to the render time. So, and you can see that the light angle there, it's where objects are further from the ground than other areas, so it gives you a much more realistic interpretation of how the shadows would be in the real world. So there we go, we covered that a little bit. I don't want to get in depth into it because, as I said to you before, when we do our lighting and we set up our shading, we'll be concentrating on this a lot more. Remember, I haven't even added things like final gather in there, or set up my scene with HDR renderings or anything like that. So HDRI. So that's the reason that we do that. So I generally leave my shadows on, and it renders out about 21 seconds as opposed to the 2 minutes 32. I don't want to be waiting around just to do a test render at this stage. So that's the reason behind that. So that's all good. Right, so now we're going to get on to our gears. I'll just turn this back to that, to the original colour. So I'll just grab my model and I'll just apply the white shader to that, and we're back to where we started. Okay, right, so we need to set up these Shimano gears. So what I can do is turn off a lot of this stuff. Don't need the forks, the pedals, the grips, the handlebar. I don't need the ground, I don't need the frame or the saddle. Maybe the wheels would be handy, but don't even need those because I've got the cogs in there. Alright, so as I said before, we've set up our other cogs coming down here, and these are going to kind of, these bits in the middle are going to pop out. These are there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this out. Give me my distance. Maybe the frame's quite handy there. Okay. So that gives me the distance that the Shimano gears are going to come out to. So from this point on, I don't think I need the frame on. Okay, so now I'm using my reference to start to draw up this lot. Right, so this is quite a good one. It's not gonna look like this, but it just gives me a, this is my bike actually, and I just photographed it because I wanted these kind of a view. Right, so we got this area here. So I'm going to work on this, and I'm just going to work this bit up to about here. So it's going to come down and then go around there, and then we'll look at creating this part that will hold this cog and be moved up to about there. Then we'll create that little bracket. So because this is going around, I'm going to do the old usual. And we can get quite creative with this, as you can see. Like lots of these holders here have like cutouts and cutouts in here. All looks pretty cool, so we can get on with that. So after analysing that, I'm going to come in and start to create. So we're going to use the old pipe, and we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. in the Z, which will give me this. Actually, I'm not sure that's right because it's actually wrong. 90 degrees in the X is correct. That's better. Okay, at this stage I'm just going to use this front view. I'm going to come into my attributes and I just want that radius to be a lot less. So I'm going to bring this out and then I'm going to just bring it in. That'll be quite nice. Don't want it too thin. Move around there, maybe a bit thinner. Bring that down. Yeah, maybe not as thin as that though. Okay, that'll do. Alright, and I'm going to sort of lock it into this area here. Just allow me to blow it up a bit more. Okay, that's not bad. Right, I'm going to come into the front view now and just kind of put it the other side. So I want this quite thin because I want two sides to this. I'm going to put it this side of there. Let's have a look at him. Yeah, he's not too bad. And I think I want to bring now I'm mainly looking at how this is going to come out here, so I've gone down to 15, which will be fine, and now I'm going to press Control D and I'm going to press R on the keyboard to bring this down. I'm going to bring this down to here. I'm actually going to bring him up to about there. I'm going to get this one. I'm going to bring this in. Sorry, I'm messing around here. I'm going to bring this in. There's a reason why I'm using this original one. And I'm going to press Control D and take the duplicate back outside. This one in the middle, I want to change the radius, and that's why I went back and used the original. So I want to make this radius bigger. So that's better, a bit bigger than that. And he's going to lock onto this middle area here. Alright, now all our divisions are exactly the same. Now I'm going to select both of these. I'm just going to come outside and just double check everything's lining up. Which it is. Okay, now I'm going to go to my polygons and I'm going to combine these. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take these faces and just delete them out. Now I want to take you. So alternately I'm going around this and just deleting, but I'm making sure that I'm deleting the same bits out. And we're going to append these back in. So let's go around this. So got 2 at that side, which is fine. Oh, something's wrong. Oh, I jumped one. I mean, it doesn't matter if you accidentally delete one. We can always append it back in. That's good. It's going there, so that's that one, that one, that one, and that one's done. That one's done. 2 at the top there. These 2 here. That's it. Okay, edit mesh, append polygon, and start linking these up. Or not. Okay, let's do it again. Yeah, it's because I haven't deleted that face in there. That would cause that problem. I'll tackle that in a minute. So I'm going around, clicking on both these edges here, pressing the G key and moving on. And while I'm at it, oh, I haven't deleted that face. I'm missing all these faces. Or that face. God, it's awful. Alright, right hand click the face and click that out. Click that out. To there. So I'm doing it like this, but you could choose a completely different way. If you wanted to make it more complex, you could have more pieces. Okay, that should be a bit better. Yep, I haven't done that face. Yeah. So I mean, you get the idea. Just carry on working around this, and I'll work around it, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're finished with this now. So that's one section done. You notice that to make it easier for myself, I just turned off the views there. So if I put this into 3, you can see it gives you this kind of pattern, which is quite nice. But want to insert some edge loops, I think. Get them to be a little bit sharper in these corners. And I think I'll do the same down here. Oh. sometimes it's easier to work just by pressing the 1 and going in the simple view. Other times it's easier to do it using the smooth shade on. Tighten this a little bit here along these sides. Right, let's have a look at this. Yeah, quite nice. So we got that. So that's nice. Right, so we need one for the other side, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to just move this in a bit more. Well, that's fine, I'm just making sure. There, that's good. Right, I'm just going to modify and center my pivot. And now I'm going to press Ctrl D, and I'm going to move this across to the other side. That's about right. Okay, and now what I want to do is kind of extend some little bars off. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to get rid of that at the moment. I'm going to go to face. I'm going to extend some little bars. I'm pressing the shift key to get these working. Okay, they'll do. And I'm going to extrude this out like this. Okay, I'm going to insert edge loop. In here, okay, and that'll do me. I just want to have a look at this. Press 3. Okay, that might work. Okay, back to 1. Control D to duplicate. Bring this back. Select both of these. Go to Edit Mesh and combine them. I'm turning this all off now. Also going to save my work, and I'm going to cut these faces out, and we're going to append them together so we get this kind of bar going around it. Well, what I tend to do with this is just click the bottom one just to move in. Get to the inside first before I put the outside part on. Now I can put the outside part on. G. And same this side. And G. And now fill this hole. Okay, put that in 3 mode, have a look at that. Yeah, that looks quite nice. So have our gears and our chain in there, and that will be nice. Okay, back to 1 mode. Now I did chop these bits out, but in fact I'm going to put them back in. I was going to create a separate unit and just attach it to it, but I don't think I need to. That's quite nice. So that's that first part done, which if we're looking at the reference would be this area. Maybe this gear could be a bit smaller, but I'm going to leave it the same. So it's this area. So this is the bit we're working on now. We're just pulling this up and it's going to hit another chained area there, which I think I'm going to reuse this part. So I'm going to put it into 1 at the moment, and I'm going to press the W key. I'm going to make sure that my pivot is centered, and then I'm going to press Control D. I'm going to move this up, go into my front view and reduce the size down and just put this into position. Should be okay. I'm just going to check. I've reduced it down, but I don't know if I've reduced it enough. I want it to just be inside that. Might need to come out a little bit more. In fact, while I'm at it, I'll bring this out. There you go. So this kind of sits inside of that. That kind of works well there. So I'll take both of these, put them into 3, and there we go. So now I've just got to run this up here, run this out, and create this kind of box unit here, and then we'll be pretty much done. So before I go on, I'm going to save the scene. Okay, so let's make that box section. We've got here this piece coming out, so it's kind of going to come down there. So I'm going to kind of eyeball a box kind of in here and put it into its position. So I'm just using those shortcut keys, which is the W, E and the R. That'll do for now. I think I'm going to need some divisions on this box, so I'm going to go to my polycube, just ramp up a few of the divisions in here. And I want to kind of cut out in the middle, so 3, that's why I've given it 3 there. Okay, so I'm going to go to face. I'm going to cut this out, maybe not that much, maybe there, 3 both sides, like that, and and just delete those faces out, and then I'm just going to append them back in. Actually, let's make life simpler for myself. Let's reduce these down to 1, and have our division about there. The reason I've done that is because I've got to append it, so I'm going to make life a lot easier. Okay, and I can just edge loop those in. So these little tips and tricks are quite good for speeding up your workflow. G key. Sometimes you'll get what's happening here. It gives it kind of soft edge when you append. If you want to get rid of that, you can just go to normals and then just harden the edges back up again. That's better. Okay, so let's have a look at it in 3 mode. Press 3. It's kind of good. I'm going to insert an edge loop down here. Do the same this side, and I think I'm going to do the same over here. Okay, that's better, and I think I'll shove a couple more in. That's what I mean, I can just drop these back in, and makes life a lot easier. Want to harden those areas up in there a little bit, and probably around here. So look at that. Okay, it's not bad. Right, now I can just sort of shape it. So just trying to give it a nice shape. I've got an edge loop this side, but I haven't got an edge loop the other side. If you can see that. See, it's dropped an edge loop out. So let's put one in. Okay. Now when I do my alteration, both sides will be reasonably the same. Okay. If I put that into 3, yeah, that's quite nice. Right, I'd like to kind of flare this edge up a little bit, so I'm going to go through and just flare this a bit. Now you have to be careful here, because I've got to make sure that I'm not going to hit my frame. It's nice there. It's good. Oh, whole object needs to be rotated, but I like the position of it here, so I'm just inserting. Just going to move this up like that. Okay, so that insert here will allow for these pieces to come into them. So I'll now come back to here, press 1 on the keyboard to harden these back up again, and I'm going to grab these faces. Ooh. Grab you and move them up. And I'm going to kind of move them down a bit. I'm going to do the same again and bring it up. Just going to move them down. And let's have a look at this in 3. It's not bad. Oh, there we go. Just going to rotate this. Okay, right, that one's fine. Just need to move these ones in a bit here. Do the same for this one. That's good. Okay, 3 made that back in. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm fine with that. And let's get on to this one now. And same again. Whoop. Start to move these across. And I'm going to put a little something on here to bring this out. Okay, that into 3. Okay, That's good. Yep. Okay, and this will push out this way. And I want the same thing to happen here and here. There's no real reason why I'm doing this, I just think it will look nice. Yeah, and that'll give me a chance to put a little peg through there. Just going to grab this. I'm going to Control D to duplicate. And I'm going to bring this up and push it through here. I'm going to grab this, Control D, I'm going to move him into this area, and I'm going to enlarge him slightly. And I just want to bring him down, push him through there. Okay, now I'm going to grab these two here. I'm just going to bring them up. Bring them up once. And I'm going to insert an edge loop. It's good, tighten that up. Okay. Okay, and now I'm just going to do a little tube, and this tube will hold the cable for the Shimano gears. So you can see the principle. You can spend as much time as you like on this. I've just shown you quickly how to do it, and from the distance that we're going to be looking at this, it's going to be fine. I'm going to do is grab these faces. Let's make life easier again. And I'm just going to blow these up. Okay, just insert an edge loop here, insert one there, just to try and harden this up a bit. And that's good. Okay, so let's go flip back to our frame. Frame's all in there, the wheels got there. Grab this bit and just make it a touch bigger. It's maybe too big. Okay, so that's the main bit done. I mean, I need to put some bolts and all these sort of things going around it. So the next thing to do is to turn everything off. My gears are there. So I don't want the chains selected, so I'll just turn those off. I'm going to add those to that. Whoops. Add selected to that. Okay, these front ones. Add selected there as well. Okay, so we got the whole system. That's the chain. Our discs are. Whoa, where's the front disc? So it's now just a case of tidying things up. I think it's in brake system actually. Oh no, brake system. I'm missing a few things here. Oh no, they're all in there. So we've got discs, gears, chain, brake system, discs. Okay, right, let's save this out. Right, now we're going to tackle those chains. Right, so we only need the chain on. Put this into reference mode. Okay, so from there I've just selected all the objects, so select objects. So my chain's all selected. I just want to have a look in Outliner and make sure that I've got it all in a group under chains. Yeah, I have. Okay, good. Let me just test. Yeah, it's moving it all as a group. Just going to save the scene again. I just want to delete by history. Yeah, it's crashed. Okay, so our objects are all in the chain group. Some of them are split into other groups as well. I'm just going to drag those into there. It should mean that I can delete that one out. This is quite complex, this chain. But what we intended to do is to move these chains so that they go across these gears. So the first thing you do is save it, just in case it crashes, and then you go into the animation tab and you go create deformer lattice. At the moment we can change the options anyway, so I'm just going to hit lattice. That will form this kind of grid over the top, which is all very well and good, but I need it to sort of break down the middle. So if I go to my lattice shape, you can see what it's done. It's put divisions through it. I don't need 5 there, I need it to be even, so I'm putting that down to 2. S divisions are along it, so I actually want 3. Actually, maybe I want more than that. Let's try 5. 5's good. Yeah, because what I'm looking at here is it will deform, and you can pick these points. These are lattice points, and so it will pull out here, and it won't affect here, or it will affect it insignificantly. So the reason I put this here and this here was that I didn't want this side to be affected because it runs round the cogs perfectly fine, but I do want this area to be selected. So what I'm going to do is go into move mode now and very carefully start to yank this way. Now it is moving that as well, so I do it halfway and then I drag these ones, and I go into top view. You can see it's moving now. This is exactly what we'd want, and yep, that's in position. Let me just double check by zooming in. Yeah, everything's good there. Maybe do with bringing down a touch. That's fine. And that's it. As simple as that. Yeah, now because I might change this later, or I might animate it or something like that, you can come down in the lattice node here and just switch visibility off. That way it will be out of view and won't annoy you. So there you go, that's how to create a lattice deformer. I'm going to be doing a course on animating and rigging and stuff, and we'll be using lattice deformers a lot in that. By the way, this course is like the Polygon modelling course for Maya, but I'm actually going to break this course up. I was going to do it as one course, but the course is dragging on. It's hours and hours and hours. So I thought I'd break this into two courses. So this is modelling the bike. The next course is going to be like the UV unwrapping and texturing, and then another course is going to be on lighting it, which will be a fairly quick course, but UV unwrapping will take some time in Maya. I'll be showing alternatives to other programs you can use to lay out your UVs and to do all your bump mapping or normal mapping or displacement maps to it, showing you other programs and showing you how to do it in Maya as well. So it's going to be quite a big course. So I thought it's best to split this course up, otherwise it's just going to drag on. And plus, people don't have to model the bike, they can just go in and look at the rendering course or whatever. So now I'm just going to grab these gears and we're going to just have a model cleanup. So I just want to grab that Shimano bit and put it into the white. So I'm going to hypershade this and we'll do a quick render and then we'll just do a model cleanup. And then we're on the final stages of just adding the cables and just the extra bits of detailing, which I can basically leave you on your own to do. I'm going to adjust the wheels though. So that's our model with our gear. Everything's in position for a bike. Do need to do the gears at the top, which I'm going to add as twist grip gears onto these handles. We'll actually create a separate piece of geometry for those areas, so it'll be a little bit easier to UV unwrap and to texture those, because they'll have numbers and things like that on them. Okay, so let's just render this out and see what we get. Okay, so there we go. Those gears look pretty nice. Let's just save this image out. I'll just zoom in on the gear section at the back. I've upped my size of my render as well to 1000 by 800. You can do that by going into the render settings down here and just upping the width and the height. Pixels, size unit is in pixels in this case. Okay, so there you have the close in. That looks quite nice. Looks like a gearing system. This looks really cool down here. Really like this. Like those chains. I think could have spent quite a bit more time on these gears here, but they'll do the job. I'm not going to be rendering this close. If I was, I would rework these gears, definitely. Yeah, so that's that. Alright, so now the whole bike's kind of together. You've just got to do these kind of twist grips. So I'm going to start with a polycube, and actually let me delete that. Let's clean the model up, because we've got lots of things happening, so let's clean the whole model. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that all the layers are not referenced or textured. I'm going to select all of this. Before I do this, I'm going to save it, just in case anything bad goes wrong. I'm going to drag across all of this stuff, and I'm going to delete history, and it might have crashed, so good idea I saved it. Okay, so I've selected across it. I want to go to File, and I'm going to go to Optimize Scene Size. This will do the same thing. Do I want to remove the deformer? The deformer for the chain? I don't think I do. I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff. And optimize it. Okay, now I want to go into Outliner, and you might be alright with deleting the history, but I'd optimize the scene as well. But watch it, when you optimize scenes, make sure if you've got any deformers that you turn that setting off. Okay, so what we've got here. Right, so we need to label this. This will be left. Left fork and right fork. So I'm going to work my way through this and clean all this scene up, going through each of these. So I'm clicking on one, seeing what it is, renaming it, I'm grouping it, and so I'm going to be doing that now. And so when we come back, you look at how I've set it all out. Okay, so now if you look in Outliner, I've got one. It's a lot cleaned up because I've taken out the image plane is there. We've got the bike geometry, which is all of it. We've got the camera, and we've got the ground, which is this base area here, which doesn't need to be grouped to the bike. We got our spotlights in our directional lights, but apart from that, that's it. All the extra nodes and everything have been cleared out or deleted, and we're just left with these areas. So front tyre, back tyre, seat, pedal area, Shimano gear at the back, the handlebars, the disc brakes both front and back, the forks, the gears, the chain and the frame. And if we open these up, say for instance in the pedal area, I've labelled these, so right pedal axle, that's the middle bit there. If I go to right pedal, left pedal, right pedal footrest, left pedal footrest. So it's all organised, so I can get to each section very easily and find out what they are. And also by clicking on them, I can see in here what these areas are as well. So this is nicely cleaned up now, so make sure that you save a copy of this. So I'm going to save this as, and I'll be saving it as bike, and in this case it will be bike 11. There's my incremental saves as I've been working through this job. So now with our scene all tidied up, we can carry on and work with other parts. And what we need to do now, before we start those cables, is to do the Shimano part at the front, which I kind of forgot about. But yeah, at the front of the bike, let's see, here you can see that there's a chain shifter here, All it is just this little piece, and then it's on a kind of little hinge. I haven't really got good reference of that. You can see it again there. But it's kind of like the back, but it's just got a little connector that sort of extends out and pushes the chain back one way or the other. So pretty simple mechanism. I don't really need a lot of reference to do it. So let's just get ahead and just do that part. Okay, so what do I need? Right, I turn my outliner off, and I'm going to turn lots of stuff off. Don't need the discs or the brake system or the forks. I'll leave the pedals in. Handlebars, don't need the ground on. Certainly don't need the I'll leave the frame in, and the wheels. So yeah, the gears are all at the back there. There's a little bit of chain there that I need to just add. There. Left over. And turn my gears back on. Alright, so it's just like pretty much the same way we created this part. We are going to create this, except we're not going to use a circle. We're going to use a square, and we're just going to actually, saying that, a circle might be better, or a polygon torus that we've not used before. No, I'm going to go for a poly pipe, funny enough. E on the keyboard, 90 on the x-axis, side view. Change a few of these settings. It's quite thin, this thing, so that'll do. That will do nicely. And in fact, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, like that. Okay, once you've got that, we can now check our side position, and it's got to be covering these. Now I seem to have missed a gear here. I don't know if it's dropped onto another layer. One of my gears seems to be missing. I'm going to duplicate this, bring it across, and get this into position. That might be around somewhere, so I'll keep an eye out for that. But what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that this comes across all of this area like that, and a little bit of room there for the gear guard, and that's nice. So now I'm going to take my faces and I'm going to delete these out. Now I'm going to come into my Polygon tool, and I'm just going to append this face back in. Like that. Okay, so that's the start of my object. I'm just going to harden those normals. There we go. If I put it into 3 mode, it's going around nicely. So what I want to do now is just do what we did before, and I'm going to just put this down so it's a nice thin piece of metal that would sit there. Then I'm going to just play around with this. Okay, that's not bad. And that's good. Let's have a look at him. Okay. Right, so slightly different than before. I'm not going to just take it across and then append it. I'm going to bring some areas out already. So what I need to do is just to insert an edge loop just over the top of this chain area out there. And now I'm going to alternately just click across. And in fact, I'll just give this one a double thick thing. Bring these across to about there. I'm going to delete the faces out. I'm going to select this and I'm going to choose my insert. I'm going to snap it to here. Insert gain. Now I'm going to go to my edit and duplicate special. Duplicate special across the X in this case. Of course, Z. Apply. Okay, that's done that. Okay, now I'm just going to grab these vertices, pull them back, grab this one and just move it forwards. The chain would be about there. Then I'm going to get both of these and I'm going to combine them. Then I'm going to grab my vertice, which I'm going to move roughly in the middle, like so. Then I'm going to scale it in so that they merge. Then edit mesh, merge. And there we go, we've created that cut through there. So let's put this into 3 mode now, have a look at it. Well, that's quite nice. It's a bit solid, maybe I could do with some holes cut through this. So that's exactly what I'll do. Come into my side view and I'm going to slice a few holes out. Just click off here, click, click, click and delete. Insert edge loop. Well, actually I haven't appended it yet, so probably best to append it. Now that's all in position, I can turn all this stuff off because I don't need it, and we can go in and just append this back. So append polygon tool, start clicking through. I could have actually done this before I did that mirror. That would have saved quite a bit of work, but I forgot to. missed any? Missed loads. It's funny, you think you've got them all and then you turn it at an angle and you see that actually, nope, there's loads to do. That's fine. Okay, just harden these edges up here. Put it into 3, and now I'm going to insert my edge loops. So I come in here and just, whoa, object mode, what's going on? Okay, so let's just insert these. This will kind of harden the top up, but I'm not worried about that too much. Whoa. Okay, I think that looks a bit better. Definitely looks better than it was, with it just being solid. So yes, I can see a problem already. The chain that wouldn't work as a chain because it's not going down. If it pulled it over, it would knock it down, but then it would need to fall into a recess this side. So that's not going to work. And that's why reference is always a good thing. Because if this pushed out, see, the chain would drop, it would actually hit this metal here. I think I just need to get rid of these faces. So I'll put it into this mode and we'll delete these faces out here. Just get this angle and chop them out. Yeah, I think that's the only ones that need doing really. So let's get in here and put these back in. sometimes quite hard to see because you have to follow the arrows around, but you can't see them sometimes. So let's try that, see what we get. Yeah, I mean this would work for sure. Yeah, knock it out. This angle would come down and hit there. So we could feasibly get away with that. I think I'm just going to bring this out and put this to one mode and put in this. This is going to join us to the frame eventually. So I'm just putting my edge loops in to harden it up. Some down there as well. Maybe along there. Okay, so that's pretty good. Alright, now I do need the frame this time because I'm going to be fixing to the frame. So I quite like that little bit sticking out, but he doesn't really do anything. This is all going to fix to the frame with a device that's going to pop out here. So we'll do that next. Right, okay, I've moved on a bit and I've created the device that's going to connect to this front gearing system. So as you can see, it's just basic polygon modelling like you've done loads of times in this course, and I created a pipe here and extended these two bits out and had it coming around here to a kind of clip. So I've also added a few other bits that I'll just show you about. One is I've started to put in, again these are created with the pipe tool again, and just setting my radius to quite thin and softening, pressing free on the keyboard to soften it, and then creating a hard edge loop around the top so you get soft at the bottom and hard at the top. This is just a cylinder with the vertices just played around with to get it into position, and this is where the cable would go into the front Shimano system. Okay, what else have I done? Created here, again, this is a pipe, and exactly the same way that we created this down here. Did the same here, and created a little pump, and that pump was created using a sphere and stretching the sphere. So I'll just demo that to you now. By now you should have got this sort of ideas, but let me just bring this up and go to vertice, grab across here, move it down, and of course edge loops, so you get the idea, yeah? And of course then the bottom is a bit flatter, so what I did was I just shifted this up like this to make it flatter. I put two edge loops in there, I selected the faces and I extruded inwards, and that gave me the top of the pump section, which you can see down here, this pump handle part. And as I said before, this part was created with a pipe and then extended out the sides, and then I just copied that, duplicated that piece down for this piece. So then I went around and I made sure that all of my little pieces were done. So I also created one here for the top, and I created these little bolts to go through there. That was for the height, the seat adjustment. These are just pipes again, just hollowed out, and these are just straight cylinders, just stretched and put into position. So where else did I do it? Yeah, you'll notice that we've got bolts on here that I created using the cylinder, six-sided cylinder, and then just extruded up and softened and hardened the edges that needed hardening. Down here again, another tube with the wire coming down, same as before. This is a tube, and I just played around with the vertices using the move tool and just positioned it. And I created a little end cap here that you get, and I've pushed it through here. Now I had to move this part, so I separated it, and then I set my pivot point to here, and I just moved it up. We already had those that already fitted, and I think the other part that I haven't shown you that we did was back here, where I actually extruded part of this frame up for the fixing for the disc brake. And as you can see, these are in position to take the tubing that's going to go around it. Now these are all simple things to do, so I didn't bother to show you me creating them. This was a washer. That's just a pipe. If I bring it up here, you can see it's just a thin pipe, just to give that impression of a washer. So yeah, and that handle I moved down here in preparation for this wire to run through here and then run into there, which I haven't done yet. So that was about it, I think. Is there anything else I added? Yeah, the other thing that I did was I just brought the tyre shape up a little bit, and this is a nifty little trick. Instead of selecting the vertices, which would be quite complicated with this sort of object, what I did was I right hand clicked and went to edge, and I selected the edges, and then from there you can just scale these up or down to get the shape. And of course, if you shift click, you can select multiple edges and blow them up. So I just adjusted the shape of those tyres because they were not big enough on the original copy that I had. So other than that, I think we're up to date. Yeah, just so you can see that. It's just the kind of fixing here. Comes over the top of here and allows this to be pushed out to change the gears over. Another thing I added was the seals around the forks. Again, just simple pipes, and then just softened and then adjusted to the shape that you require. I put one's there and one's there for the seals. And the last thing I did while I'm still there is I made the little inner tube areas here. Now that one's not in position, should be. It's the little cap for the inner tube, and actually if I remove him, I've put him into a different colour, but if I remove the cap you can see I've even got the valve in there as well. And so now I just duplicated that and brought that back across to this one in position here. Okay, the rest, any other changes that I made? No. So that was it. So all very simple things, and that's why I just did those, just to save a bit of time on this video, because I only want to show you things that are new from this point on, so that you can learn from it. If you need to refer back to how we created things, you can refer back to the video, but we're not going to repeat our steps. All these bits were just duplicated as well, so where I could duplicate I did. Where I had to use where I could use smoothing I did, and where I didn't have to I didn't. So that's basically it for that. So the bike's really coming on now. Okay, and at this point I just want to show you the some renders that I did. I was just working, this is actually for the next course, which is laying out the UVs. So with these tyres, just in preparation for the next course, I laid out the UVs for them. I'll just show you quickly just so you can see where the next course, sort of a quick glimpse of where the next course is going, because this job is nearly wrapped up. So if I go into Windows and I go down to UV Texture Editor, you'll see in here that I've laid my UVs out. This is basically the side walls of the tyre, and this is the circumference of the tyre from the top all the way around, and this is the other side of the tyre. And so I'll show you a render that I did, or a couple of renders that we've got from that. We're testing different materials. This is all very quick to do. This was a side view render. And here we go, just run through them. That was a close up to see this area with different materials. As you can see, I've used different materials on this, like I just said, and this is kind of more of a paint plastic finish, sort of a gloss, and I've made these kind of a chromium satin mix. Tyres are matte, just a Lambert, and you can see I've applied a texture. This is the next one, and you can see the texture there, and more importantly you can see the tread on the tyre, and this was achieved using bump mapping. So I've made the chain a kind of goldy colour, and let's have a look at the last one. That's one, and this one here. So you can see really effective bump mapping for this. There are certain limitations, like if you zoom in, especially with this one, you can see that you can see no alteration to the geometry. So the geometry is just smooth, but from this kind of distance it's fine. If we were getting really close to it, then I'd have to use a displacement map to displace the geometry to give us those edges. Okay, so let's have a look at the map again. This is the UV map. I want to show you how the tyres were made here. So I'll show you first of all the texture map. So look where the tyres are, round, yeah, and where the tops are there, where the bump mapping will occur, and also there's a bit of bump mapping on the rim. So if I bring this in, that's our tyre, and our bump mapping is there. So this is a neutral grey, which is 128, 128, 128 on the RGB. It gives us a mid-range grey. So what happens with the bump mapping, looks at the grey and says, okay, that's level, there's no bump mapping. As soon as it sees white, it raises it. If I put black in here, and the reason I have it a neutral grey is that if I wanted to push the image in, I could use black. So it gives me a range to go up. I could easily just use black here with white for the bump mapping, but this is a good way to start. It allows you to push in and push out, gives you room for movement. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that quickly. This will all be covered in the texturing course, which will run after this course, and show you about UV layouts, creating normal maps and bump maps like we have here. Lucky on this model, there's not a lot of textures we've got to put on it really. There's quite a bit of bump mapping to do, so it'll be a fairly quick course. Okay, so now continuing with this course, what we've got to do is the last part, which is to create the cables running to their places, like down here to up here. So to do this, yeah, I could use the tube and I could play around with the vertices and fix things in position, but I wanted to show you another technique that we've kind of covered a little bit already, and that is using the curves. So this will be the last part of the course, and then I'll render this out as a turntable just in this neutral white colour, and then this course is finished. Okay, so welcome back. Right, we're going to concentrate now on creating the cables, and we're going to use NURBS curves to do this. Now, you could use the Polygon cylinder, and you could manipulate it and get it to all fit. But I want to show you, as this is a training course, a different way of doing that, and it's using the very powerful features of the curves and using the NURBS surface extrude to extrude along a curve using a profile in this case being a circle, and that circle will then pull along the curve that we create. There's a few settings to make it a little bit easier to actually set this all up. So if you double click, you can use your hotbox. We haven't really covered a lot of that, but the hotbox basically allows you to get to all of the tools in Maya very quickly on screen. So you can just press the space bar and you can go down and you can just select whatever you like. It's all in one convenient place. It's a good idea to practice using the hotbox and make it part of your workflow, because it does speed things up considerably. I'm showing you up here all these tools along here just for easy clarification rather than jumping around through the hotbox, and this makes it a bit more visually clearer for you to understand it. So that's the reason I'm sort of going up here and doing all this stuff. Normally I'd be hotboxing it and using more shortcuts, but one step at a time. And right, so let's have a look and create our curves. Right, there's certain things here we probably don't need at this point, just to speed the workflow up. I'm going to turn a fair bit of this stuff off. Don't need the forks or the brake system. Actually yes we do, because we've got the brakes, we're going into the brakes. That we don't need the gears, we don't need a chain. It's part of the brake system there. Just need to add that cable to this layer, which I think actually already is. Yep. Okay, right. So that minimises our workspace, makes it a bit quicker to move around. I'll also turn off the ground plane, so we don't really need that. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the settings. Right, if we go into our surfaces, what we want to do is create an EP curve. So you can come down here to create EP curve, yeah? Or you can click in the menu space here in curves. So we'll choose this method. So what I want you to do is double click. In double click and you'll get the settings, and this is standard for all the tools. You double click them and you can open the settings before you start. And I want to make sure that you've got the knot spacing to chord length, and you've got it curve degrees set on 3 Bezier. Bezier, obviously, like if we do linear or cubic, self-explanatory, but Bezier gives you these handles that allow you to manipulate the curve much more easily. So make sure that you've got Bezier. Play around with these different things and you'll see how they work. But I've got it on 3 Bezier now, which is going to be fine. I'm going to go into my top view and I'm going to just click here. I'm going to click 1 here. Now you might not see anything at the moment, it's because we're underneath the model. You can see it now. I'm going to click 1 out here, yeah, to take us around, and finally 1 kind of this side, yeah. Now I'm going to hit enter, and what will happen is this will put this on the ground plane. So what we need to do is just to move it up into position. So I'm jumping now to the side, modify. I'm just going to center my pivot so it's a bit easier for me to see. Also going to insert my pivot, put it at this end, insert again and press the rotation tool. I'm just going to rotate this up. That's a bit better. Okay, so let's have a look at the curve so far. So it's quite nice. It's sort of coming along here and running around, and that's kind of what we want. So what we need to do is we need to add to the curve. So I'm going to come into the side view now, and we're going to hit this, which is add points. So as soon as we click that, it will basically, from the end of the curve where we click to, it'll add to that. So what we want to do is to bring this up here and kind of here. I want to have a look at it now and see where it's going. That's not bad. Okay, I think I'll come back. I'll bring it to about here. Something like that. Okay, now I'm going to go into my side view and just bring this up here and into there. Now I'm going to click the enter key and let's have a look what's happened. Right, okay, so now we need to just joggle these points. So I've got control vertice and I'm just going to move this into its position, and if I grab here you can see I can alter, or if it jumps off of it, it sometimes does that. Should lock those other layers, but you can see I can straighten that. I can grab the end now and just plonk it in there, making sure that it's level on my side. I'm going to grab this one now. Before I go any further, I'm just going to lock these layers out. They're causing me problems, so I'm just going to reference these. The brake system as well, probably. Okay, that means I'm not going to accidentally grab anything. So what we can do now is just start to joggle around these and basically get them into position. I sometimes think it's actually easier to use the perspective view for doing these kind of tweaks. You see how the beziers, the handles which you can grab, make it very easy for you to move these things around. My machine's acting up a little bit because I've got I'm doing some DVD cutting as well. So I want it to kind of come up in a kind of loop like this. By the way, if you think you've got too many points, and this is the great thing about the point, you can just select them and just delete them out. I start with too many and then I sort of wind back. So I delete the ones I don't really need, that are just causing more problems. And generally you find that if you have the handles just outside the curve, so rather than go inside the curve you go outside the curve, you get a smoother curve. Okay, so how close are we to this? Yeah, can definitely do with that being moved in a bit. Just going to move this slightly. Maybe up a little bit there, just tweak that up. So when you're happy with it, you know what, I don't even think I need this one. That's a lot smoother. Okay, so when you're kind of happy with it, we'll go to the next stage. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so back into object mode. Right, so our curve's in position. So what we need now is a circle to run around this. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to come into my front view now and just use the circle, and I've got my circles there. This is just to give me an idea of the size. Come back to my circle. I'm just going to drag it out about there. That's quite nice. So there he is there. So drag him over here. Doesn't matter his location really, just make sure that you've got it somewhere so you know where it is for later. Okay, right, now we've got our curve, he's there, our circle, and we've got a curve. So I'm going to click the circle, then I'm going to click the curve. The curve's last in green. Now what I want to do is come into surfaces, and you can do it this way as well, and come into the extrude. I'm going to do it this way. Here's extrude. Here's the button for extrude on the icons here. Yeah, and obviously extrude is in surfaces. Remember, you're in surfaces, and it's in surfaces, and you would go to extrude. I want to just make sure you've got a couple of settings the same as mine. So I'm going to open this up. Right, now in here, don't worry about any of this stuff because it can all be changed, but down here is important. Output geometry. Now I could output this as NURBS, but then I'd have to convert it to polygons anyway, so I figure why not just do it as polygons. So I've got my polygons in there selected. So I've got oak profile and components and profile normal. They're all selected, although they can be changed later. Got tube selected, but again these can be changed, so don't worry about that. The only one you want to worry about is output geometry and polygons. So just make sure your settings are the same as mine, and then we're just going to hit extrude. What will happen now is it's extruded it, but if you look where my circle is, it's actually extruded from the circle, and I don't want that. I want it to be on the curve line. So what I need to do is come into my options box here, and I need to have a look at my extrude setting, extrude 1 here. What I need to do is make it a fixed path, so instantly it's jumped. Yeah. Now if I press 3 on my keyboard, it will smooth these down, but are they good enough? That's the thing. Is it good enough quality for a circle? Well, that isn't bad, but I want to show you anyway how to up the level. So I'm going to put it back to 1, which gives us this kind of squarey look. To up this tessellation, basically, we need to go to the tessellations tab of that component. So I'm going to click there, and you'll see NURB tessellate. Yeah. Now it isn't a NURB, it's a polygon. What you want to do is come down to advanced tessellation. You want to make sure enable advanced tessellation is turned on, and we want the format to be count. You can play around with these, it does different things, fit, general, CVs. Well, I'm going to do count, and now if you go to polygon count we can up this, and if you look at the model, it starts to up. So you can bring it right down as well. So I'm going to set it on about, well, I'm going to actually set it on 500, which is what it was, and then I'm going to smooth it anyway. Well, there you go, I've got 5,000 there now, which is not what I want. So put it on 500, click this, press 3 on your keyboard, it will smooth it up. Now it isn't perfectly in line, so we need to just change certain things, but before I do that I want to show you the power of this, these curves. If I now select this, the circle, which gives us the profile, if I now scale it, watch, I can scale this up and down. Not only that, I can, and this is what I generally do, I take the component part, which is this, and I put it on a new layer, and I add selected. Now this is purely to allow me to be able to see the curve. So I now put it in templating mode, and I can't select it, but I can see my curve. If I go to the control component now, and I go into move mode, watch what happens to the geometry. Notice it's following, so it's doing exactly what we want it to do. So that allows us to tweak this, get it so everything fits nicely, and pretty good. I'm just having a look around, making sure it's not running out or anything. There's a little bit of run out there. It's pretty good. Can probably do with that curve being reduced down very slightly. That's not bad. I think I'm going to increase this brake area anyway for it to go into, because I don't really want to come down any more than that. I think that's quite a nice size for the cable. So that's it. That's how we can create cables with total control over both the profile and the curve itself, which will update onto the geometry. I would say if you optimize the scene or you delete the history on this component, it will no longer be connected to the curves. So bear that in mind, because sometimes that happens. You delete the history on it, and then you decide that you want to tweak the curve, and suddenly you're not able to because of the disconnection between the curves and the actual geometry itself. So if you optimize the scene or you delete the history on the component that you just created with the curves, it will stop you being able to use that flexibility. That's why I've kind of left this to the end, because I want these in position. Imagine the power of this. You can animate, you can keyframe using this. I'll just show you quickly. If I set a keyframe here, press S on the keyboard, I come over to here, and then I just enlarge this like this, and I press the S. Watch what happens. You see? And that is because we're still connected to it. So like with all of these curves and things, they can be animated as well, which gives you even more power. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go and finish off the rest of my curves using this same method, and I want you to do the same on your own. I want you to bring this one down to the front disc. I want you to run, we need to create the handles here, we need to create the grips for the gears. So I'm going to have a grip there and a grip there, a gear change, a little button or something for a gear change with another one of these little nipples coming out of it, and that will run down here onto here. One of them will run down, probably the middle one, run down to the front gear, and the other one on the gear changer here will run to the back one. So have a look at your reference how they all work, and then the other brake will go straight down to the front disc brake where this one is heading. Yep, so once you've got that, it's job done. So I'll just finish these curves off, and then I'll just show you what I've done, and using the method that we just talked about, try that and have fun with it. It's fantastic to be able to use these NURBS and to convert them straight into polygons. And I'll just show you, just before we wrap up this lesson, I'm just going to show you how we can convert from a NURBS to a polygon. So I'll leave that curve there, don't worry about that. I'll go to my front view, zoom out. Okay, so let's go into the curves, and I'll just grab this. I'm going to double click it, and I'm just going to do a linear curve, uniform length, and just click there, 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 there. Notice this is giving me a straight line. I'm not doing anything in particular, I'm just messing around here. Okay, press enter. Right, now I'm just going to go to my control points, and I'm just going to go into move mode, and I'm just going to snap them, make sure they're snapped to the center. Okay, right, and the reason I've done that is because I'm going to use another tool here which we haven't looked at, and that is the revolve. Now when I revolve this, I'm going to make it turn it into a NURBS. There we go, NURBS, not a polygon. There's certain times where you want to use NURBS and not use polygons, and you want to do your conversion later. This is one of those times. So we'll just click revolve, and instantly it's revolved it around the y-axis and created a piece of geometry. So this could be used to create a water bottle, say, for the bike, but it is a NURB, and because it's a NURB, you cannot apply your smoothing to it. However, you have got other settings. If we now come into the tool, we come into the tool here and look at some of these settings. Let's go to the revolve. Look here, end sweep. Now if you look at a NURBS surface, you always a thicker line. That's where it basically meets, especially when you revolve. You can see it clearly there. But if I move this revolve, you can open it up. Not only can you open it up, you can add more sections, make it smoother, or reduce the sections. So let's, for this object, because we'll be converting it to a polygon, let's move it down to our standard 8 and open the sweep right up to 360. Okay, so I want to convert this to a polygon. So how do I do that? Well, all I do is I go to modify, and then I go down to convert, and I go NURBS to polygon. I hit the option key there. It gives me a count here. I'm going to say 500, it's fine. I want it as quads, and I want it to base it off of the count, and I'm going to apply this. And now we have this model, and we also have the original. But look, we can change. This is a polygon, but we can still adjust it using the original NURBS. And because it's a polygon, I can put it into 3 mode and have a lovely smooth effect. But I can also use this one, this kind of proxy. It won't alter this, but it will alter this, because remember the count is all done based on the tessellation. So I could actually increase the count here or decrease the count here. But also notice when you do the conversion, it adds more geometry in certain areas. so it does a kind of subdividing. So this is really powerful, but I want to show you now about the deleting the history and how that will affect things. So if I grab both of these components, I go to edit and I go down to delete by type history. Now, even though these options are here, this has not linked. The two are not linked. Sorry, let's go back one. I deleted the history on that and it cleared it, so that's what I didn't want to do. Okay, good. So I've still got this. These are still, yep, still linked. Okay, let me select this one, go to edit type and history. Now we have no linking because the history, because it no longer is connected, and that's what happens when you delete the history on the object. So I deleted the history on that, it would get rid of the settings in there. So be very careful about deleting the history. But again, very powerful for creating things like wine glasses, all that sort of stuff, bottles, vases, whatever you like. So again, have a play around with that. Let's get rid of them, bring my model back. And if you want to have a look at the, before you do this, before you do the curve thing, if you want to have a look at my handles, my gear changes that I've done up here, I'll show you that in the next section. Or you can just do it yourself and start to link all the pieces up. I'm just going to now just do a quick render of this top part just to show you. And there we go. So we've got a lovely curve there for the cable going into the wire cable that travels across here. Okay, so hopefully that's explained that well enough. Went off on a little bit of a tangent showing you about the revolve and things, but they're all pretty cool things to learn. I will be doing a course, I think it deserves a course in its own right, on the NURBS modelling. Very good for doing things like cars and stuff, because you can go over that, you can create the profiles and just go over all of those profiles, and then of course you can tweak them if you need to. A bit harder with Polygon, although you can do it all in Polygon modelling as well, as we've created this whole bike in using Polygon modelling, polygonal. So okay, I'll see you in the next lesson where I will have finished all of my cables and I will have done my gear grips, and it will just be a kind of wrap up to the end of the course. Okay, so look, here's our model now. I've put all the cables in place, as you can see. All my cables are hitting the right places. And that includes the back as well, so I've got all these coming out of these, and you see I've put these gear changers on, so like a twist grip and a little switch there which could lock it or something, I don't know. And down here you've got the front one coming down, so it leads up, goes through the back there and round here, and finally down to hit the Shimano back gear there. This one, this little wire here, I just used a cylinder, and based on the front one, which we have over here. So add as much detail as you can in there. You might want to put more reflectors in there, and you might want to put a reflector on the back there, a reflector on the front, and you might want to put a bell on there, whatever you like. And you'll see the handles as well. I've just used the loop tool there to split this up, and then I just selected alternately and and then extruded. I've still got my circle in there to be able to change the widths of all, because I've used the one circle now. This is what's great about it. I've used the one circle, so if I now did this, it would blow all of them up at the same time. And of course all the separate curves that I've got going on in here. If I just turn these off, you can see the curves here. So all my curves running down. This one needs to go into this layer actually. So that was my EP curve using the Bezier setting, so that it gave me handles to be able to manipulate them. And of course you can turn them off. Now, because we optimized our scene before we did the cables, we don't need to optimize it or delete history or anything, and that's a good thing, because it means that if I did that, as I said in the last lesson, I'll lose these curves. They won't be associated, so it's great that I've got them in case I need to use them later, and I can just drop the curves back in there. So the whole thing now has been put into this kind of white colour. So let's just finally wrap up by creating a turntable of this. So what we're going to do for this is we're actually going to create a new camera. Well, actually we've got the camera there. That's our perspective camera, but we're going to be using our camera 1. You can label this camera. Go into the outliner. We can label this camera as renderer, or render underscore camera. And what I need to do is just to clean up the rest of these bits, make sure that everything's in the correct groups. So as you can see, I've got lots of stuff going on here with the handle grips. So I'm going to grab both of these and put gear change right, and put in this one gear change left. Now I would say it's really important to you should really name all of these parts as well. I'm not going to for speed, but I will do when I continue this course. It's a really good idea to put these in. Sorry, I'm just looking for where it's supposed to go. Yes, put them all in, label them all and put them in their correct groups, because later on when we come to texturing it and stuff, it's going to be really important that we get all this stuff in the right areas. So handlebars needs to go in the gear change left and right areas. So this one obviously goes in the right, and this one goes in the left, like so. Good. Okay, so I've got all these extruded faces and these bits to do here. Let me have a look. I think this is it's the end cap for the cable, so that's good. I'll put that in the cables area up here, and I think that needs to go in the cables area as well, and these do. So I'm going to grab all my cables now and chuck them into there. That's good, and now you can see that all the cables are selected and it's all very clean. I've got a null here which I think I can delete. This is another cable here, and I've got my NURBS circles and all this stuff, which I'm actually going to group and call curves. Yeah. And I'm going to put that in the bike like so. That way it will move with everything else and won't be left behind if I lift anything up. So now, because everything's in the same group and all tidied up, we can go to move, and I can move everything course you've got to watch it because the curves are still connected, so it's all in position anyway, so I don't need to move it. But there we go. So it leaves us with the ground. So all we've got now is to make sure that the ground's in the right place. So I'm just going to zoom in and check on the side views and make sure my ground is right on the edge of the tyre. That's about right there. Perfect. Okay, and like I said, this isn't the rendering course, so I'm not going to show you how to put final gather in and all these sorts of things. But what I will do is I will create a ground that will allow the camera to rotate round, and we won't get any horrible drop-offs like here. You can see the skyline. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the ground, and I'm just going to delete it out for now. I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab a sphere, and I'm straight away going to select faces. I'm going to cut through those faces. Now I'm going to select the object, and I'm going to change the point, the pivot point here. So I press my insert key, and I'm just going to V key it down and snap it to the bottom, hopefully. Let's just check that it's done that. Yeah, it has. I'm going to press my insert key again. Now I can move this up so that we're grounded, and now I'm just going to scale this up quite big. Yep. Now I'm going to select the vertex, and I'm going to flatten this. And I'm going to click these vertices as well, and I'm going to flatten these. Oh. So we're creating a kind of set for this that's got rounded up sides. Now I'm going to go into object mode again. I'm going to press 3 on my keyboard, so it gives us this curve. I'm going to press W. I'm going to zoom in and move it to the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to select these edges. Come back out here quite a lot. Hold the shift and drag over these areas. And now I'm just going to expand it. And bring it up. That's better. Alright, we're not going to be that far out, so really I can select these faces across here and just delete them out. Maybe a few more. For some reason it's gone a bit crazy. Aha. Okay, let's get rid of some of these faces straight away. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just making basically a platform for it. Right, this is my rendering camera. So last thing I'm going to do is just select this and come into Windows, Rendering, Hypershade, and I'm just going to put it in that ground colour. I think this was a lamb, but in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the same colour as the bike. Remember, I've got the ground one originally and I've got this whiter shade. And with the whiter shade, I'm going to unlock all of these just to make sure that all of them are selected. Because I want to make sure that all of the objects have got this colour. So I'm going to go across it all, and I'm going to go into my Hypershade, select whiter shade and assign to material. Yeah. And I'm going to put my camera in the position, and I'm also going to set the size. For this I'm going to do it HD, so I'm going to do it 1024 by 720, and you can't see the preview very well on here, or you can if I put it into full view. So what I want to do is bring this up, and here we go. Now I'm going to select one of these components and just have a look at my whiter shade colour, and here it is here. And what I want to do is I'm going to set it a little bit on the blue side, just really slightly. Then with my lights, remember my free light setup, which I briefly covered, I'm going to just check everything is in the right place. So my camera wants to revolve with the light being in front. Also, I've set my colour here to a slight yellowy colour. If we look, the yellowy colour is there, the opposite is sort of a bluey purple colour. So what I tend to do is set this to this yellow colour, and with one of the other lights I tend to set it into a kind of purpley colour. Do you see there? So it's opposite that spectrum. Well, this third light I then go kind of this side of the spectrum slightly, and it gives a really nice effect. And then my light here I'm just going to bring back into this yellowy colour there, and you just have to play around with the intensities of these. I'm now going to zoom in and have a look at my render. I think that's quite nice. I can see all the detail. Okay, let's do a render of that. Okay, so it's rendered out. So we've got this line going on here. This might be the spotlight, or it might be actually a twist in the geometry of the base. But it's all sitting down nicely. It's a nice kind of angle. But you see the yellow light and the slight blue that's coming in. I can probably increase the intensity of that blue. So let's zoom out a bit and just, I think I'm going to have this, I'm just going to change the angle of this a little bit because I want it to almost be like a rim light, and I might actually just drop this colour away. I might increase the intensity of this very slightly and take it a little bit more into the blue. Actually, I'm going to come this side, drop it into kind of a purple. Okay. Now I just want to have a look. I'm going to put lighting, use all lights. Yep, that could be the problem. The drop-off's nice, but the cone angle needs to be bigger. And I think I need to take it up a bit, which means I'll probably have to increase the intensity. So I'm going to bring it up here, increase the intensity a bit more. That'll give me a nice kind of colour. I want it to be slightly grey on the edge, just so that it makes the sort of rim lighting pop. Okay, let's do a render of this. Right, okay, it's definitely getting there. There's a little bit of difference here, but yeah, what's happening is that light is mixing with the purpley colour. So in that case, I think I don't even know if I need this. It's kind of a fill light, but I'm not sure it's doing a lot. If I come down here, I can sort of see that purpley colour coming through. Increase the drop off there. I think I'm going to get this colour and just change it a little bit. In fact, I will change this angle up. Right, we're nearly there. I'm going to take this now and I'm going to check out the shadow, and I'm going to bump up my shadow rays. I'm going to put them to 50, and my ray depth limit I'm going to put to 50 as well. I'm going to decrease this to 0.7 and we'll do a test render of that and see what this looks like. Also going to come into my render settings. I'm going to come along to the quality tab and I'm going to put the multi-pixel filtering to Mitchell, and my ray tracing, reflections and refractions, I'm going to put these to 20 and 20 and double this to 40. Shadows I'm going to do 4 and 2 and 2. Now this will add a lot more time to the job. Passes, I'm going to also enable ambient occlusion. Right, so this will add a massive amount of time to this job, but we're right near the end now, so all's good. Okay, let's do a render of this. Sorry, what I forgot to do was change my settings here. I just want to check these are the same. They are the same shader. That's good. Alright. Yes, I wanted to come down to the reflectivity and just sort of turn these up. And diffuse, I'm going to drop a little bit. because I'm getting a little bit of burnout on this wheel. It's not so bad because the object's going to be turning, but I just try and change that a little bit to make it a little bit, just take the specular roll off and specular colour and bring that up. That should be much better. Okay, I don't want to get too carried away. Just render this and we'll take it from there. Okay, so that's the render. It's pretty good. I'm going to make it a little bit more upright, then I'll get this bit which is kind of burning out against the white to drop into this kind of shadow area. That will make it look better. So I'll just do that now. These shadows are all quite nice. I could put a bit more angle on that to just sort of run them off a bit, which I think I'll do. I'll just give it a little bit more, be a little bit softer on that then. So grab this light and I'll just increase this to 9. Actually, I'll put it on 1.2. Okay, that'll do. Alright, so now we've got our scene set up. I'm just going to move this up very slightly. And he's in the center, everything's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a locator. And this locator is going to animate, but then I'm going to parent the camera and the lights to it. So when it animates 360 degrees, it's going to drag along the camera and the lights, and that's how we're going to do our turntable. If you don't want the lights, you want shadow to change as the camera moves around, then just don't parent the lights. Personal preference really. So I'm going to create, and I'm going to go down to locator, and he's actually appeared right in the middle there. And if we go into outliner now, we can see him. Here he is. You could call him whatever you want. I'll leave him as locator. So he is selected, locator is selected. So I want to say, right, I want this to go around in 5 seconds, 25 frames a second. So that's 125 frames. So in here I'm just going to set 125. I'm going to come into my renderer now, my render settings, go into common. I'm going to renderable camera. I'm going to make sure that I select the render camera, it's the one we set up. Then I want to go to the image format. For this I'm going to use a JPEG sequence. I'm not going to have any compression on it. I'm going to say I want it to be the name and then the number and then the extension, and I'm going to call this bike model underscore course 1. Okay, and then so what that will do is that will put the that will put an underscore and then the number of the frame of the model. You'll see when I've finished. Oh, hold on, let's put that correct. There we go. Okay, so once that's done, we need to come down to the, not the image size. Now that you've selected name number, you've got this frame range open. Open up. So you want to put end frame to 125. You want to leave the frame padding to 1, and you want to close it. So now our render is set up, and now we just need to parent, well, we just need to animate this locator. So frame range is from there to there. So I'm going to set this, and I'm going to press S on my keyboard. Make sure that your selector is selected, and it's put it in there. So I'm going to come over to here, and on the Y rotate I'm going to put 360 degrees. Yeah, and then I'm going to press S, and now you probably can just about see, if we select our locator, you'll just see, watch this little arm piece here, it'll move. So that means it's all set. So in here I'm now going to grab the render camera, I'm going to middle mouse button, dragging onto that. I'm going to drag my lights, I'm going to drag them onto this and release them. And now if we go here, you'll see that it will begin to turn. We'll need to move out a little bit, so I'm just going to move the camera out, maybe move the camera up a little bit there. Just a bit more, perfect. If you're into editing stuff and you're right, where's my safe area, you can view it by camera and then you can go safe action and it will put that in there for you, and then you can just make sure that it's in the safe action area. So there it is, spinning round and back to where it started. So 125, if I click here, doesn't move because it's exactly 125, exactly the same position, 360 degrees. So from 0, if we just click on the locator, watch here in the rotate X, as we move through it you'll see that that range will change. So if you wanted it to move faster at the end of the range, then you just set it in there and key it. So that's setting that up. So within here now we have our render camera, spotlight, directional lights all in there. And what I then tend to do is just do one sort of render just to make sure everything's okay. Let's save the scene as. Bike model final. Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to do one more render. Okay, there we are. That's pretty perfect really, it's all we needed. It's quite nice, this little horizon line. I'm going to bring it just out of safe. And I think I want to twist it, and this is where funny things will happen because we're linked, we're parented to the locator. You sometimes have to move the render camera out and then sort of like jiggle it, get it to how you want it, and then move it back in to parent it back up with the locator. It just does some funny things sometimes. Especially when you're zooming in or out or you're tumbling with it. If you're just moving it, it seems to be fine. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So what I'll do now is just sort of wrap up. Well, we've done, this has been the Polygon modelling course. We've done pretty much used all the tools that you use every day for modelling. For polygonal modelling, plus a few extra bits by showing you the curves and the NURBS, a slight bit of NURBS modelling. We've shown you this basic light setup and basic rendering straight out of here, and this course will continue showing you how to set the UVs out like you saw with the wheel, set the bump mapping up, texture mapping, and then we'll do another course which will be rendering, which will feature advanced techniques for rendering like final gather and checking everything's correct, caustic and illumination and photons, etc. So we'll be covering all of that stuff, but yeah, it's a pretty big course. It's roughly 15 to 16 hour course, this, covering pretty much all the standard tools that you use every day. So I hope you've learnt something from this. I hope I haven't gone too fast or skipped too many steps. If I have, then please send me an email if you need further information on any of these topics that we've covered. And what I'll leave you with now is this render in 360 degrees, and hopefully see you in the UV and texture course.